Right, I think we have time for one or two more comments, and if anyone, oh, here we go.
I just had a quick question, which is, with the task of trying to seek historic preservation, is part of that demonstrating that there's a certain amount of interest, or that people there's going to be a certain amount of traffic to that site, or is it just demonstrating that it's historically important? Does that make sense?
Can you repeat your question again? I didn't quite understand.
When looking at trying to get the site historically protected, is part of that demonstrating that it's going to be popular and that there's going to be a certain amount of traffic to the site, or do we just really have to demonstrate that it's important to protect?
I think many of us in this room could answer that. I think it's known that the site's important. It has not been recognized specifically as a zone, and that's what we're all here to talk about, is like, what is the group's vision as to how, like, is it just one thing, is it a large thing? And part of the point of the discussion is because we need to create a sort of coalition or a group of interested people who, in your many facets and the time you have or don't have, we will all collaborate towards pushing this thing forward. So without people, we could definitely get designated, but no one's going to show up without any kind of active programming or advocacy. So that's why we're all brought into the room at the ground floor, so that we can all try to get a similar mindset and know how we can help through our own individual actions as a group.
I guess my question is more, what are, how do we reach, how do we successfully have the site protected? Is it that we have to show that there's a certain amount of interest, or just that it's historically important?
Also, the topic of the next section.
Oh.
Yeah, the site itself is actually very popular already, and I think that one of the reasons to look at doing a little higher level of recognition infers protection to it. It's popular for a whole bunch of reasons. One that I didn't mention earlier is, as you come east over Donner Pass and cross through the narrow notch that the road is carved through, this incredible vista of Donner Lake opens up before you. It is the stuff literally of postcards and posters, and there are many that do that. It is one of the scenic wonders of the West, and the railroad was aware of that when they built that over the pass. There's even a bridge there that's called Rainbow Bridge colloquially, but it's actually called Pioneer Bridge because it was designed by the son of immigrants who crossed that pass. And there is a plaque there that talks about that. There's also even a plaque at the lower parking lot for China Wall that recognizes the Chinese contribution to the railroad. But one reason that when I was with the Forest Service we did the petroglyph sign was we were aware of increasing use that was actually damaging the glyphs. People are aware of these things and don't understand how fragile glyph systems are, and these in particular, they're very old and very worn. But it's kind of, in some cases, it's kind of consumptive tourism. There's a lot of mountain biking that goes on up there, on the railroad bed itself, until Union Pacific finally put in a decent gate 3 years ago. Jeeps and motorcycles and everybody under the sun was driving the railroad bed, sometimes at very high speed, and that damages parts of the cultural resources up there. The archaeological sites I'm aware of mainly because they're so well known, and I sometimes take groups to them. They have been heavily looted over time, so they're not considered protected anymore, but even so there are still artifacts that remain on those sites. And I think that looking at some sort of special designation can help increase the protection for that and focus the use in more respectful and honorable ways, I think. Because, with knowledge comes appreciation, and what we lack for casual visitors right now is really knowledge of how significant and important these resources are. Just my 2 cents.
I was going to say, think of it as the historical significance basically establishes the stewardship of the area, to which all other means of development or use, recreational use, and these other things have to be in that context. And that way you really preserve the area the way it's preserved.
Okay, well.
Question over here.
We have one more question, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break to let everyone, and then come back into the room. So Jonathan,
Yes, my name is Jonathan Wolke. I'm a private tutor. I was a public educator for 4.5 years. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much. I know a lot of people have traveled very far. My question is pretty simple. Just given the importance of preserving different parts of these historical monuments, where does the funding come from? Is there somebody who is lobbying on behalf of Congress or working with people who actually can establish funds to preserve a lot of these sites? And in some cases, maybe to hire part to full-time staff to enlarge in some of these projects, because you need to have staff who know how to preserve these stories.
So, maybe to answer that really quickly, that actually is part of the major topic for the afternoon session. So I would suggest that we reserve the responses to that and to that time, and that gives you guys sort of like reason to come back and talk a little bit more with us. But also, it's a very, very important, critical thing. And we have some people that have been working with Congress on a lot of old issues for a long time with park services. How do you allocate? How do you use the Antiquities Act? How do you use that? And also, I want to remind you that part of the reason for doing the 3 to 5 is to sort of like get a dialogue going among people who attend there. And I hope there's a number of Congress people, Congresswoman Judy Chu will be sponsoring that. She'll be there, and we would and the head of the appropriations in the House, Grace Lung, will be there. Well, not the head, but she's part of the appropriations committee. And so we're hopeful that you guys can all attend there and remind people of the importance of these type of things in a low-level, non-lobbying way, but we do want to do that. But also remind your own Congress people that these sites and the preservation of the things with Humanities National Endowment for Humanities and for the Arts are still very important things. That's where we derive a lot of our funds for these things. And we want to be sure that that continues, as well as in some ways designated for APA heritage stuff, whether it's the Summit Tunnel or the other things that was mentioned in the theme study that was just completed last year. Maybe it's a time for a break, do you think?
Just before the break, just to address that in a real basic way, think of it this way. On a normal agency budget, you're going to get minimal kind of protections. The more that it is an area that's got historical national significance, the higher it's elevated, then the higher the care, maintenance, or the focus becomes. So it enables you to go after better or more funding.
So
Okay.
what's the classification? How do you go from this classification to national level, federal level disability?
And this is
It
what,
seems like a lot.
yeah, this is what we're going to talk about in our next session.
Okay.
So if you can return.
Yes. We want to, in fact, Helen very quickly said, but the excitement is there. That's what we want to do. This year is where we build the excitement to make people realize that there are historical sites for APA communities that need to be identified and protected and preserved, and it needs to come grassroots. And so that's a fundamental thing where you all have a place to play. So we'll talk about that next session. Do you think?
First, I'd like to thank our panelists